Today we're going to look at standards SP3 and SP4. These are statistics standards and they are heavily focused on looking at data, comparing them using measures such as mean and median, the range, the interquartile range. Sometimes we're looking at box plots. Sometimes we could be looking at a dot plot. Sometimes we're just given some information. So starting with SP3, compare data. For items 1 through 4, use the box plots shown. A random survey of 7th and 8th grade students was conducted to find how many hours they spent reading per week. Of the two sets of data, which has the greater median? Well, the median on a box plot is this middle line. So the 7th grade averaged about, or the middle number rather, we could say, is about 3 hours per week. And 8th grade was a little more than 1, we'll say about 1.6 hours per week. So the greater median was the 7th grade. Number 2, compare the interquartile ranges of the data sets. Well, the interquartile range is the range from one end of the box to the other. So this one takes a little bit to look at, but if you look at these two boxes, you can see that the 7th grade box goes from 2 to about 3.5. So it's about 1.5 for the IQR. It's about 1.5. If we look at the 8th grade interquartile range, it seems to be just over 1. So we'd say its interquartile range is about 1, or maybe a tad over 1. But it's clear to see that the 7th grade box is longer. So we would look at answer choice C, which says the interquartile range for 7th grade is greater than the interquartile range for 8th grade. Problem number 3. Compare the variability of the 7th and 8th grade data sets. Well, we can see that the 7th grade has a greater range, which goes from whisker to whisker, than what the 8th grade does. So it also, we already said, had a greater interquartile range. So 7th grade is more variable because it has a greater range and interquartile range. And then question 4. What conclusion can you draw about how much time 7th and 8th graders spend reading each week? Well, we can see the 7th grade that their box plot is shifted further to the right. So we could say that on average, 7th graders read more than 8th graders. Number 9, the dot plot shows a random sample of the number of deer observed by 25 participants during a 2-day hike. Which day showed more variability? Well, looking at day 1, the range was the highest, 5 minus the lowest, 1, so 5 minus 1 is 4. Looking at day 2, we could find the range. That was the highest, 5, minus the lowest, 2. That actually has any data, which is 3. So we could say that day 1 had more variability. It had a greater range. You could also just look at the spread. It had a greater spread. It was spread further out. The data was more spread out. Standard SP4 is just more comparing data. So we're going to look at one problem here, number 5. Maria recorded random speeds from 3 different internet providers in a table. Which company offers the fastest mean downloading speed? So we know when we see the word mean that we're looking for an average. So that comes from adding up all the numbers and dividing by how many you have. So we're going to start here with sitting at 4.6 plus 4.3 plus 4.7 plus 4.7 plus 4.1. Add those together. We get 22.4. And then there were 5 numbers. We're going to divide by 5. And we get 4.48, and that is the download speed. So 4.48. Let's go through these other ones. Able cable, 4.2 plus 4.2 plus 4.3 plus 4.6 plus 4.1. The result when we add is 21.4. And we'll divide by the 5 numbers to get 4.28. And then our last one, Telenet, 4.3, 4.5, 4.2, 4.7, 4.8. We'll add those together to get 22.5. And once again, there were 5 numbers, so we'll divide by 5 to get 4.5. So which one is the fastest mean downloading speed? That would be this one. This was the greatest number. So it was Telenet. And that would finish this out.